Hello viewers and welcome to Rwanda Television. I'm Emmanuel Munyarukumbuzi and you're watching The Summit. Our topic today is the legacy of heroism, inspiring a generation of purpose and resilience. And in Rwanda, heroism is more than just a memory, it's a living legacy. And as you all know, we celebrate the Heroes Day every 1st of February every year. In the studio of Rwanda Broadcasting Agency, I'm honored to have with me Brigadier General Ronald Rwivanga, who's the spokesperson for the Rwanda Defense Force. I'm also with Nicholas Rwaka, who is from Cheno. He's in charge of research, and Cheno is the Chancellery for Heroes, National Orders and Decorations of Honor. And last but not least, we are with Divine Abayo, who is a lecturer at Kigali Independent University. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The summit starts now, and today, as I announced, we're talking about the legacy of heroism. So to kickstart this conversation, I think it's befitting to kind of define what heroism is, it was, and it is today. So Mr. Rwaka, if we can start.
Thank you so much. The word heroism, or the word heroes, comes from a Greek word in the history, means heroes. Heroes was a definition of a person who can defend people and using always to defend people in terms of turmoil, in terms of danger. And in Greek society, the word heroes, which became a hero all over the world, refer to the protector or semi-god, small god, who can use extra acts to save people in terms of danger. And then if we go back in the history again, we find out that the word heroes was found in the military. And also the person who could be called a hero was a person who managed to make difference or to protect people by protecting the society as using different military tactics. But today, if you talk of history of heroism, it's no longer in the military, but all over the spheres of life. If we do research and see the categories of heroes, now you can categorize into 3 types. One, there is social heroism. Second is military heroism, and patriotic heroism. In terms of social heroism, those are the things that being done by different people, but more especially fighting for injustices. Military heroism is also found in terms of ways of defeating people, defeating the military and military techniques. As maybe Fande Ronald will talk about that, the person who is able to discover the new techniques, to discover the ways of fighting and win the battle or the war by using different ways, that's the military heroism. But in terms of patriotic also comes from a Greek word, it means pata. Pata refers to the countryman or fellow countryman. Then later on it became patriotic. Patriotic means the fellow men who are fighting for the common goal. Then if you talk to heroic acts in terms of the other type of heroism patriotism, it is where we find people who do outstanding act or heroic act in terms of leadership. Like if I talk an example of the leaders, we have like maybe Nelson Mandela, those people fought for, and the leaders fought for justice, fought for inspired its leadership, inspired all people. That's how we can see. Now I can say that the legacy today is in all spheres of life, not only in the military.
Thank you very much for sharing with us the etymology of the word hero and making a difference between hero and patriotism, heroism and patriotism. Now we move on to Brigadier General Rwivanga to understand what does heroism mean for you personally, as well as in your everyday profession.
It's not very different from what Mr. Rwaka defined it. In the military, heroism or a hero is a person who pursues a noble cause, say the protection of civilians, with extraordinary courage, exceptional selflessness, and remains steadfast in the face of challenges. Very important to add that, steadfast in the face of challenges. So in the military, our work is basically to do with protecting people and putting your life at risk in pursuit of that objective. So heroism is part of our culture, and there are several values that are connected to that. And there's quite a number of values. One of them being honesty and integrity in everything you do, courage and bravery, because these are very important tenets of heroism. Then we also have selfless service, not thinking about yourself, thinking about the security of others. And here, if you don't think about your safety and you're thinking about the safety of others, then you basically fit to be a hero. And then we also have people with ideological clarity, people who think the right way and act the right way. And in the military, we take that very serious. We take that very seriously, and that's one of the very important values that we espouse as a military. And therefore, yeah, so heroism is part of what we do.
Thank you very much. So you've mentioned some values that are related to that. Now that brings me to you, Divine. You're a lecturer, but you're also a young person in our society. What does heroism stand for in your profession and in your personal life?
Thank you very much. Heroism, now to bringing it to the context of nowadays, we've been talking about the past and how we define it. I am going to take it away from the military cause and the way we defined it in the past days. That involves basically risking your life every day for the others. But I won't also go so far from what they said. Heroism to me basically means selflessness and sacrifice, basically. As a young person, we're no longer talking about guns and putting your life every day in front of adversity, but in terms of security. But now heroism to me currently means sacrificing, innovating to see the Rwanda that we want today, because we're no longer talking about a failed state. Because going back to what the gentlemen have talked about, we had Rwanda where we had a status of a failed state. It was over for us. But 30 years now, we look back and say, this is the Rwanda that was built on the bravery of the women and the men who fought for the country in terms of the heroism they were talking about. But now we have a peaceful country. We have the brave men who stood for that, and we got it. So now as young people, we're now on to the terms where we say, how do we innovate? How do we put, fresh blood to what has already been built? And how do we now stand for what has been built and we protect it?
So we're not only talking about the protecting what has already been done by the others or building on the foundation that has been laid for us, but we're also talking about how we can preserve this and how we can be innovative. Yes. Can you give us some examples of what you mean exactly? Because sometimes when we're talking about heroism, people think about what it was in the past and the definition we have from the Greeks. But how can those values be used in today's world? How can they be relevant today?
Thank you very much. They are very relevant because most of the times when we hear about the word heroism, we usually associate it to risky, very big things.
That's what we mean by sacrifice, right?
Yes, but basically most of the times we understand war, we understand guns, we understand death, putting your life on the line. We can still do that currently. I will talk about in many very different sectors, actually. Let's talk about the health sector personnel who stood on the front line during the Marburg period this time around. That was last year. Look at the way they really, really gave it their all to fight against the virus that has just broke out. That is one example. We have men and women who are always working day and night to be there for us. Let's talk about teachers. With the resources that are already there, of the people in the military. It's not just one sector, but we can do this in all sectors and innovate. There was one thing that I just remembered when you were asking for examples. We had an issue with the health sector where blood transfusion. People had to travel all the way from rural areas. But talking about the innovation that I was telling you about recently, we had the zipline innovation, the drones that are transporting the blood to the nearest hospitals or the farthest that needs that. That is heroism to me, something that is innovative and that is for the good, a noble cause, for the greater cause. Yes.
So maybe some examples of what we can be doing today. We'll start with you, Brigadier General. What are some of the things we can do today, or how is heroism relevant to the world we live in today? From young people, we've heard about innovation and the things we can be doing. We've heard about medical personnel, but I also think it's taking us back to danger, to times of difficulties. If we get away from difficulties and war and disease, do we have any chance of becoming a hero in your perspective?
Of course, and I like the fact that she raised it. Heroes are not only in the military, and I think from the categories that he described, you can see that actually very few of them are military personnel, and the reason is that in its definition, you have to have specific indicators of heroism. One of them, of course, the ultimate, the supreme acts, that is the imanzi in Kinyarwanda. You demonstrate supreme acts of bravery in times of need. And here we have General Fred Rwigema and the unknown soldier, who represents all those who sacrificed their lives during the liberation struggle. But I was reminded that actually it goes beyond just those who sacrificed their lives, but even those who could have died in pursuit of that objective. Then the second category, just to show you that her point has a lot of relevance. There are people who have exemplary acts. They have had exemplary acts in times of danger. They pursued their goals to the end. I'll give the example of these Inyanje girls, the Inyanje students.
Inyanje, yes. Yeah.
I think you know the story.
Yes, I do.
The insurgency. These girls were not in the military.
No, they were not.
But when they were told to choose between, their lives and identifying who is Tutsi and Hutu, the girls said, no, we are all Rwandese. We are not going to, to tell you who is who here. And some of them lost their lives. Some are still alive, by the way, and they are considered to be heroes. So, like you rightly put it, it doesn't have to be in the military realm. You can also be a hero in other realms. And then I'll give you an example that I raised a couple of weeks ago with the youth in Nyamirambo.
Yes.
You can actually be a hero. You can be part of these three categories. You can be injenzi. Injenzi, we don't have someone yet in that category, but these are people who perform acts of great importance. People who can innovate something new that will save humanity. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, if one of us came up with vaccine or a cure of COVID-19, like you rightly put it, just like the zipline concept, we would have considered that person a candidate for ingency or a person of great importance to the society. So yeah, so heroes can be made, and heroes are yet to be made. And
maybe very briefly, if we come back to you, Mr. Gwaka, if you can remind our viewers briefly about the categories of heroes, and also take us through the process of documenting their deeds and who can be who is said to be a hero, and then share with us today how you think people can actually walk that path.
Thank you so much. One of the things that we need to understand well is that heroic act is not determined by age, not determined by professional work you are doing, not determined by levels where you are, but it is determined by mindset change. If you have mindset change in terms of your activities, your outstanding acts in different domains, whether social, political, economic, you can be a hero. Secondly, the process of becoming a hero is not so hard but not so easy, because it takes time to first check on the values, as the founder has been mentioning that. There are some values that which are universal to the extent that whoever sees that value can understand well that you can become a hero. Though we may not say you have a universal hero, but we can have people who has done the same activities guided by some values that we can mention a few, but like a bravery, you can't escape being a bravery. Where you want bravery goes with sacrifice. You can't escape patriotism, because you can't sacrifice yourself or do outstanding act when you don't love your country together with your country, your motherland. You can't escape humanity or humanism. All those factors that we combine them, they are the one that can lead you to become a candidate, to do research on that candidate. Again, if we consider the trend of the world now, and we consider the problem that surrounds us now, the problem that the whole world is facing, it is a real time that people can work. And that's when we can get heroes more than the way we have been. Because the other time it has been the military only. When you don't go on the battlefield, you don't have wars, like we are saying that. But now, every type of outstanding act you can do in terms of knowing the problem that the world is facing, then providing solution to that problem, you can become a hero. So we have a lot of problems here, all over the world, but a person who is able to overcome, to navigate all those issues in terms of providing solution to the problems, that one can be taken as a heroic act. Again, we go to Rwandan context. In Rwandan context, there is a good will that the leadership have, good governance, a leadership that gives a chance to every person to pursue what is supposed to be doing and to consider what they are doing. It is a great chance for people to perform what they are supposed to be doing. Secondly, having an institution in charge of honoring the heroes, doing research, awarding different medals because of the outstanding act, because this value was the one that lost even before. Value of heroism, value of awarding the outstanding achievers, was a value that lost during the colonial era, so that they can only base on the interest of the colonial master. But after 1994, genocide against Tutsi, the government of national unity saw it important that we need to restore again the value of thanking people, the value of honoring the heroes, and those people doing that before others should be rewarded, should be awarded, should be thanked, and should be celebrated as the way we have the heroes we are celebrating today. This is a chance that people in Rwanda can, based on that, to do their outstanding act in different domains, so long as have good leadership that cannot choose based on any other so-called ethnic group, regional belongings, everything. And you've seen that the medals have been awarded to different people, even the foreigners. Those who tried to manifest themselves in terms of doing outstanding act, whether in Rwanda or outside Rwanda, but people are there to do that. So this chance, people should utilize this as a way of doing heroic act. Maybe lastly, on Rwandan context, heroism is part of the value that made Rwanda to become a country as a nation. Today, if we want to translate the theme we are going to celebrate in the first 31st, in Kinyarwanda we say, ubutwari n'ubumwe bw'Abanyarwanda inkingi z'iterambere. If we try to translate, we can say, heroism and the unity of Rwandans are the pillars of prosperity, which means that the value we have to values of heroism and unity will make Rwanda to prosper. If we respect those two values, it will lead us to development. And if you see in the history, where we had unity, it goes with heroism. Where we worked together, nothing can fail. Where we work together, we can become heroes. So this value of heroism, unity among Rwandans that can lead to prosperity need to be restored, need to be respected, as well as the way of doing it in accordance with Rwandan leadership that respects those acts. Maybe the process you've been asking about, the way to become a hero.
Yeah.
I can tell you that...
Because I think for our viewers, they need a picture, they need a roadmap.
A roadmap.
Where do I start? How do I become a hero? Sometimes when we envision things, when we see things, we can easily achieve them. But if we can't see them, if we are not exposed to them, or do not understand them, it's quite difficult for us to even aspire to become a hero.
Let us just talk about the process of choosing national heroes.
Yes.
The research we are in charge for is not only choosing heroes, but we do research on people, Rwandans and the foreigners, who did outstanding act. And among those people, one can become a hero. If not so, they can be awarded different medals. We have 7 medals awarded by our government. And nowadays, since this year, we have also given another attribution of also abarinzi b'igihango. Then the research shall be carrying out. We will get the results of getting heroes, if not so, getting people who can be awarded different medals, who have 7 medals, or people who did outstanding acts during the genocide as abarinzi b'igihango. The process of doing that is that every Rwandan is allowed and is able to send a candidate to a person who is eligible to be a hero by identifying him or her where he did her or his outstanding act. Then you submit to the Chancellery for Heroes. Then Chancellery for Heroes starts research on that person. It is just easy. You send it by email. There is a form there. But every Rwandan is allowed. Again, an institution can send the candidate. Maybe like in the RBA, they say we have many outstanding achievers, but we think that this one can be a hero. They send the candidate showing what he or she did in terms of heroic act. Again, we also allow groups of people, organization, international or local, also to send the candidates. But after sending the candidates to the Chancellery for Heroes, National Honors and Decorations of Honor, we do a list of the request, then we carry out research depending on the request we have seen. After carrying out research, then we normally take time. Because some people always tell us, we don't have new heroes now. For us, we don't aim at giving more heroes and having more heroes, but we aim at getting people who did outstanding act. And where we do research and we don't regret that we did a mistake. That's why normally you see...
Due diligence, in other words.
Yeah, for sure. So normally that's what we do. But what we don't allow a person to submit his or her own candidates. Because we cannot be sure if you can be able to say, I am a hero. But those people whom you think you did for that act, they are the one to present your candidate here that you can come, and then we do research on this. So the process of this, that's when we do, after the viewing, after research, which takes time, then we also work with different organizations, because if is a person from RBA, we need to work with RBA, we see more about that outstanding act. Then later on, it is approved by the competent authority, and the head of state, His Excellency, is the one who approves the national heroes, as well as is the one who awards the medals that we have today. So the process of doing research, that's how it is being done. But of course, as we are celebrating national heroes, we also celebrate all outstanding achievers in different domains, but don't hesitate to submit the candidate for any research to be carried out.
Okay. So basically, there's no criteria that is cross-cutting, so that people may say, if I take this box and that box and that box, then I'm going to become a hero. And I understand it could be difficult because acts are different and environments are different. So, but what I take from what you're sharing with us is that people should try to be the best at what they do.
Yeah.
And in the end, you might assess them if it's submitted to you, and they could become heroes. So there are two themes I wanted us to unpack. We're talking about nature, who the person is, and nurture, as in we've been talking about the values which come from education, which come from the way we see life, and also the conducive environment in which we are. And to me, it's kind of counterproductive thinking that just because we are at peace, there's more difficulties of becoming heroes. And you've explained it very eloquently, saying that we have more opportunities today to become heroes than we had back in the day. So I wanted us to think, is it just because somebody is naturally good? Or is it because they went to good schools to be able to innovate? Is it because they could mimic what their parents did? If we could, maybe starting with Brigadier General Rwivanga, to see, what's your take on that? Is it just nature or nurture?
It's a combination of both. Nature is how you are born. It's about genetics. And nurture is the environment in which you've been raised. And in our army, part of nurturing is training.
Yeah.
So when you're trained to be a fighter, when you're trained with specific skills to perform, and you use those skills to do the right thing. So that is where nurture comes in, because of that training, the training that you go through that whole process. So the more years you spend in the military, it becomes a culture, it becomes a way.
Second nature.
Second nature. So yeah, so we really depend on that training to shape character and values. So many of our young men who are joining in their teens, they basically grow up in the military. They just develop values that are very strong. And the level of commitment is realized when you see them in the field doing what they're supposed to do. So nurture has a very important role to play in creating heroes. And just to stress, in our army, we identified Major General Fred Rwigema as the supreme hero. But there are several others who are within the category of the unknown soldier who sacrificed their lives. And I want to stress why. After the death of General Fred Rwigema, the struggle continued. That's a very important point. The struggle continued in the sense that there are many students, young men and women, who left school, even after the death of the leader, who left school in Uganda and several parts, in Burundi and elsewhere, and joined the struggle despite the setback. That is an extraordinary act. And they knew that if the leader can be killed in battle, they could be killed too. But they still pursued their goal, as you rightly put in the definition. That's why this unknown soldier covers quite a wide spectrum of actors in the military. Yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, nature, yes, we are born in a certain way, but we can also be nurtured to be heroes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything to add on that one?
Thank you. I believe to put it in a more clarified way, there's altruism and heroism.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, some heroic acts also are altruist acts because it's sacrifice, selflessness, but in what state? You talked about conducive environment in the face of adversity. As much as we can be, nurtured, you went to a good school, you were trained, but how do you translate that in face of adversity? And I think that's where the difference comes in.
So no adversity, no altruism.
I believe so. I am very controversial when it comes to that, because at the end of the day,
people are entitled to their own opinion, and the more opinions we have, I think the richer we are.
We have very many people doing good deeds.
Yeah.
So, but does everyone who does a good deed becomes a hero? That's where the question mark is. And that's basically altruism, selflessness.
So if my life is not in danger, there's no way I can become a hero. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying your deeds in face of adversity.
Yes. Perseverance.
It doesn't always have to be danger, but what are the challenges that you're facing? We have a lot of people, let's say in the medical field, who are serving, curing diseases. But now let's talk about a virus that's killing people actually working in an hospital. Do you stay doing that or do you run away? So now it's adversity. It's challenges that surrounds that.
Okay, so your life doesn't have to be in danger. I'm trying to understand. So what you're saying is if something is too easy, then there's no room for heroism. But if you're able to overcome the many challenges that come on your way to actually achieve greater heights, only then can we talk about heroism.
I think I agree with her. I agree with her. It has
Also,
to be extraordinary.
Yes,
it has
yes.
to be extraordinary.
And most of the times, altruistic actions will remain unrecognized. Because most of the times, talk about religious people, they do good deeds, but they believe that if your right hand gives, then the left shouldn't know. So basically, most of these good deeds will go unknown. And there's no way we shall know that you did a heroic act because
Nobody
you personally don't even want anyone to know that. So I believe we can draw a line between altruism and heroism in that kind of way. Whatever you do in face of adversity, but also that selflessness in vis-a-vis challenges and for the the greater good. Yes.
So nature or nurture, do you have
Yeah,
something to add
yes,
on
I
that?
want to say that I can combine both,
Yeah.
but I add more specifically what should be put emphasis on. It's not on the same weight.
Okay.
If you depend on nurture, it depends on the culture of the country. Because most of the people in Rwandan context, heroism is a nurture. Yeah, we are born with. It is a heritage. We are just getting from
In our genes.
Yeah, our genes. Because of the culture we had, we knew that nothing is beyond your country, and nothing you can't sacrifice more than you can sacrifice for your country of your people.
But that sounds like nature to me,
Yes,
because
maybe
it's
nature,
values,
values
we
you have,
receive from.
yeah,
Okay.
oh, yeah, nature. So if you get the nature from where people are getting from the heritage, from our people, like even take an example before Corona era, all Rwandan boys were supposed to be in the military.
Yes.
Knowing that they will serve their country. And no reward and no pay for that thing, but it was compulsory.
Oh, okay.
Since it was compulsory, scientists just in their value, they don't need to be taught. That's the way it is. That's even today, we are somehow different from other military organizations in the area or over the world, because they wonder how Rwandans do their things in different ways. It's because they are inborn. They are not forced. Though they are given trainings, they are saying it is an additional because it is within them. But you will find other areas where they don't take it as a nature, they just take it as a profession and then just live like the way it is. So even the question comes like the way they used to ask us, is the heroism born or just taught? We also combine the two. But for more importance, not born with. Because if it could be the case, we would have get the heroes from the same family up to now. But if we are getting heroes from different levels, it means that we are not born with.
Yes.
But what I believe, it can be taught. You can work for it. That's what we encourage people. Heroism, you can work for it, irrespective of the family where you are coming from, irrespective of where you are, irrespective of level where you can, but you fight for it. You strive for it. You need to work for it. That's the heroism. So for that thing, we combine, but outweighing depending on the way we see according to the trend, according to the culture of the country, and according to see what do we want.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, on the issue of being born with a trait, I will still insist that culture,
Yeah.
Rwandese culture, is still something of the environment rather than something you're born with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Therefore, the heroism is talking about is more to do with the way you're nurtured as a society.
Yes.
Yes.
You see? So the Rwandese in general, for generations and generations, it's a cultural trend that men are supposed to join the army, they're supposed to serve their country, they're supposed to be patriotic. And so those traits, those values are passed on from generation to generation, but they're still within the realm of nature, not nature, as a people. That's the first point. But I'm glad you corrected that at the end. Now, on the point that she raised about adversity,
Yes.
I want to stress that in Gen Z, the last category,
Yes.
acts of great importance to a society or to humanity,
Yes.
such as getting a virus, a
The
A
vaccine.
vaccine for a virus,
Right.
or making a very important innovation, like many of these technological innovation that will save humanity. One, you can claim that is adversity, but sometimes people do it even when they are not under threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just want to help humanity. So it's about being humane, not being threatened.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to draw that distinction.
Yeah.
To say you can be a hero,
Yes.
even when you're not directly involved,
Yeah.
Or
you're not
affected.
threatened,
Yeah.
but you feel you have a desire to do something positive.
In the face of adversity.
In the face of others'
doesn't really
adversity.
have to be a threat to you, but a threat to other people.
To somebody.
Yes,
somewhere,
and back to the point of nurture and the culture that Afande was talking about, this, you can see how it changes over time because, you know, culture is not just constant, but
It's not static,
it,
yeah.
yes, it evolves, it grows. And now you can see that we have moved on from that of, you know, military and being it compulsory to join the army, but now we have evolved to unity. We have evolved to resilience as Rwandans after the tragedy that we've met. So it really shows that it's not just nature.
evolved.
It's something that evolves with time. Yes.
Talking about evolving, and Mr. Rwaka, you shared that we have more opportunities of becoming heroes today. Are we producing enough heroes today compared to the conducive environment, to the training that our military is getting, to the education that we're getting in universities, to the peace that we do have, to good nutrition that we enjoy? Are we really, is that at par with the number of heroes we're creating today? If yes, I think we would all celebrate, but if not, where is the problem? Where has the chain broken? And this is to the three of you. I just want us to understand where we are on that level.
Yeah, on level of getting more heroes,
Yes.
I can say we are in a good track. Because we normally do research on people who did outstanding act in different areas. And we normally get people, we do research, have a lot of list of personnel that they have carried out outstanding act, and we have that research. And if you see the trend of the country, the ways of how we can award people, if you see people being awarded because of different activities, it is a good chance showing that we still have the room, that we can have more heroes.
Yes.
Again, about the heroes, we normally see that we can have heroes more especially on younger generation, because they have three things maybe I can mention. One, we have people who sacrifice themselves during the liberation struggle. They are still there. They can learn from them. Secondly, they have our heroes who are celebrating today, which normally shows everything possible that any person can be a hero, whether in difficult situation or not. They have given us examples, good example, so that they can learn from them, so they can become hero. They can become hero because of the experience of the heroes we have today. Last, the third one is that the goodwill, good leadership, that always honors, awarding, encouraging people of becoming hero, working on the values that we need to have. If you see all people have their values, need to work on this, accountability, transparency, all those things that are put in place are helping people to work on the trend, to work on the target, to work to achieve something. So we have a hope and a wish that we'll be having more heroes because we have good direction that helps people to achieve a lot in terms of becoming heroes or be awarded different medals.
So we're talking about hope and we're talking about being on track. But as people say, numbers do not lie. Do we have the numbers? Or are we hoping to get the numbers? Obviously, any of you can chip in. Do we have enough numbers compared to the input? Because nowadays we talk about input and output. The input is the education, is the military training, as I said earlier, is the food that we eat, is the good weather that we do have. Is that commensurate to the output we're getting in terms of creating heroes or noticing heroes or reporting heroes to channel?
I think he we tried to show that you don't have to actually to be categorized at the highest level as a hero, but there are several other awards that you could get for different acts, medals being one of them. And I think we are a bit harsh on ourselves. For instance, I know there are several people who deserve to be heroes in the military, but we are modest people in the military. And so we try not to create too many heroes or boast about what we did. So yeah, there are people out there, but we are very critical in trying to identify.
Yeah, sure.
You know, who is supposed to be in whatever category. But for the last one, Indians,
that's one we need to get.
people of great importance. I'm telling you, we have to work on that.
Yeah, sure.
We have to work on that, and it's doable.
Yeah.
How?
Because people are doing it abroad. People are studying every day, innovating different things. And so I think they have to do a lot of work in identifying people who have had a significant impact on a society. And then, you know, bring them out. I don't think that Rwandese, this whole community of ours, we have failed to get a person who has had a very significant impact. It should be a person, so we should do more research.
Well,
Maybe we're too modest.
I believe it's also factual because they have to go through research. It's not something that we can wake up and say we have, for example, how many people who are supposed to be heroes. It's procedural. And it requires research, but like Afande said, we also need to give grace to ourselves. And like he said, for example, for the youth, we grew up seeing the actual heroes in front of us, and I believe that they have set a great example and a very good ground for us to be able to work towards this. And like I said again, let's give ourselves grace. And I believe that people are very modest. Rwandans are really working hard, and like we were saying, you can see very many selfless acts in different domains that could easily classify as heroic acts, but again, procedures and research, also some people don't necessarily feel like.
Yeah, maybe to add on Ingenzi, just to clarify more about that, in Gen Z you have carried out research, and you have some candidates there.
Good.
But at this extent,
There we go.
but at this extent, I cannot say.
Cannot reveal.
It cannot reveal.
It's still confidential information.
It's still confidential until the competent authority has approved it. But I want to assure you that we have done research on that.
Good. It's in the pipeline.
It's a pipeline. But as you said, we have. We can get more heroes because since you have extended, the criteria are no longer based on one, but depending on different domains, whether in science and technology, whether in education, whether in economics, or economy of the country, whether political and social. So we have extended the area. We can say we can have more.
Okay. Now let's move to the preservation of this history, because we all know that it's important for the future generations to know about heroism, to know about Rwandan heroes, because when you watch the social media and other platforms, sometimes you don't see our heroes, you see some other people's heroes. Are we doing enough as media? Are we doing enough as teachers? Are we doing enough as military to be able to keep that legacy alive?
Maybe I don't think I've done enough, a lot in terms of making awareness of our heroes, because we normally do awareness in January up to maybe March, but we have tried a lot to invest in younger generation by making them to understand our heroes. One of the things we did, we opened the club of heroism in the schools, primary and secondary school, higher institution and university and higher institutions, 25 among them. Then also we are now working to see how we can also open those clubs, heroism club, in the other remaining schools. We also managed to have the younger generation through associations and organizations visiting National Heroes Mausoleum at Remera. Now we have reached to the extent that we can receive more than 1,000 per month people coming to visit National Heroes Mausoleum. So we started with youth, then later on we keep on going to other institutions. But awareness is not on the high level, but we are trying our best to work with other stakeholders. And if you see in the military, we normally work together with them, more especially during Heroes Day and Liberation in the 4th July. Those things that we do, though we have not seen that it has been on the high level, but at least it has been known. Secondly, we try to celebrate National Heroes Day in Rwanda and the community abroad. Now since 2 to 3 years. If you go to all embassies outside the Rwanda and the community abroad and their friends, they do celebrate National Heroes Day. And I think General Ronald knows himself, so always we present talk shows outside so that they do that. So it is a ways of making awareness, but we keep on making it, and maybe within some specific period of time shall have done a lot in terms of it. If you consider 10 years to 10 years back, even those things has not been done, but now at least we're on the good level of making awareness on that.
Personal level or in our institutions, in our families, are we keeping the legacy
without
alive?
necessarily connecting history to heroism, but rather collecting our history as it is, the Liberation War history. We began with the campaign against genocide museum. I think, I hope you have visited it.
I have.
It's quite a good museum that explains, of course, we begin with the tragic history at the main museum where, you know, it's a genocide museum in Gisozi. Then after that, all our guests are given the opportunity to visit. Students, guests, and other people from abroad will be able to visit the campaign against genocide museum to see what we did. And by the way, those are acts of heroism too. Stopping a genocide. Many people died in the process. And they fall within the category of the unknown soldier. Part of the modesty I was talking about. But there are specific individuals who really played a fundamental part in stopping the genocide, including our president, who also wants to be part of the modest group. But, you know, heroes are there. I mean, the description is out there for you to determine. And so we are working on our history from the beginning of the struggle all the way to the campaign against genocide and the liberation. And in the entire trail, we identify extraordinary acts that were performed by individuals, but they still fall within the unknown soldier. And then, of course, beyond that, we have other operations that we are carrying out even today. And I'm glad that Rwaka mentioned that it's not about those who were killed in a battle, who lost their lives in pursuit of specific objectives. It's also about those who could have lost their lives. So heroism is much bigger than that. Even those who could have lost their lives are part of that category of the unknown soldier. So we have the history, we are writing it, and we want the youth to, you know, to get knowledge of it through, of course, doing these tours and also reading books, because we are now writing books. We've begun writing books about it. And
maybe before we head to the end of the show, I'd like to hear from Divine. What are we doing as young people? I'm counting myself as young people because I'm with you now. What are we doing to make sure this legacy stays alive?
Yes, thank you very much. Young people have taken initiatives to preserve the legacy, of course, but I believe we can still do more. Going back to books, literature and academia goes hand in hand. I believe that's where now Channel steps in, to invest in literature, in research, but also now that we have the
Dissemination,
clubs, how do we disseminate this information through plays, books, and all that? But we also have initiatives, very good ones from young people. We have Ingabo Museum. It's up in Rebero, a very young person initiative that is showcasing now heroism through art. And we have very many students visiting, young people visiting and learning about Rwandan history. Also, the heroism that we're talking about. But that's not enough as well. Because if you look at the whole structure is that we start talking about heroism mid-January and then February, and then it ends in March. But it's really something that we could invest in and disseminate the information through schools, because it starts with the young people. I'm very convinced that the older generation have lived through this and they really know what it means and the implication of that. But how about the young generation and the young people? And that's where the focus should be. And I believe that if we invest in them and give them chances, because I've realized when you give young people chances to do it themselves, they actually do it better.
Thank you very much. Now, what do you have for us on the 1st of February? What can we expect in brief?
Yeah, 1st Feb, we have 2 things that which is need every person in Rwanda to participate. One, the celebration will be done on Modugudu level or village level, so we need to participate on village level. Secondly, we have the national level event. That one, it will be on national level on the selected invitees, so they will attend according to the way it is planned. But not only the first, we have Heroism Month started on 6th January up to 31st. We planned different activities. There is a culture show, Gitaramo, Kanchigari, 31st. There is also different tournaments in sports. We want to tell people that you participate, and I encourage them to participate all planned activities in this Heroes Day 31st celebration.
Now we're wrapping up. Time is not on our side. If we can take maybe 20, 15 seconds to leave a message with our audience, starting with you, Brigadier General.
Yeah, I will summarize by saying that, being a hero is something, as we put it from the definition, that anybody can be, as long as you put yourself towards meeting specific objectives with steadfastness in the face of challenges. And whether through adversity or whether through humanity, because that's also very critical, we can all play a very fundamental role in
your 10 seconds are over, sir. Now,
yes, now to the youth, we've been given a very great foundation. Let's put it to use. Be heroes. Thank you.
Yeah, may I can say to be a hero is possible, so long as you can follow the values that can make you a hero. You can be a hero.
Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. And with that, dear viewers, now we come to the end of today's show. It was the summit, and I'm Emmanuel Munyarukumbuzi. Please do enjoy the rest of the program Rwanda Television has in store for you. And I cannot complete this show without thanking the production team, the technical team that made this program possible for you. For now, it's a bye-bye, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.